The story begins with the main character, Grimm, who is an extremely powerful and confident wizard. Right now, he's cooking up a new legend in his cauldron, tossing in devil skulls, bones, sulfur crystals, and a splash of magician's blood for that extra cursed flavor. The scene cuts to a city, a huge statue stands there, and a young boy is telling Grimm's story as a bedtime tale. The kid is just about to fall asleep. Grimm is basically the strongest wizard, like a final boss. His achievements are so legendary that people tell them as stories. Elsewhere, the very legendary wizard is grinning. Dude spent his whole life casting spells for other people, never once for himself. But now, he's locked in. For the first time in his life, he is going to use magic just for himself. So, he channels his ridiculous amount of power and summons a calming succubus with a cute face and a perfect figure. But instead of a waifu, what pops out is a hand, and from it comes a charming dude. He introduces himself as the king of incubus, named Styrit, and announces he can make any woman fall into love and lust. The whole thing just does not work out. Our dude feels completely failed. He cannot even pull off a simple spell like this. Styrit tries to soften it, but Grimm is not buying any of it. This is not what he ordered. Our lad has not even hugged a woman since the Stone Age. And now he is stuck with the king of incubus, or whatever, who cannot even believe it, because Grimm is supposed to be a great wizard. Styrit starts getting ideas and wonders if Grimm has unusual tastes. If that's the case, maybe Styrit is actually the perfect guy for him. Feeling totally crushed, our guy just says, "Sorry." Styrit only popped up because he answered the summoning. Grimm grumbles that falling in love was probably a dumb move from the start. Styrit thinks it'd be a real bummer to just bail out like this. So he opens up. He asks if Grimm does not want to be popular. As the king of incubus, he proposes that he can teach him how to win girls over. Our lad just tells him to go home. Styrit starts poking at his weak spots anyway. Maybe Grimm wants a boss babe, maybe a cute childhood friend. Does he not want to walk the path of love? Grimm has had enough. Then Styrit pulls out the ultimate trump card, a super hot blonde with upturned eyes who acts harsh on the outside but is totally, helplessly in love with him on the inside. With full determination, Styrit asks if he does not want to receive a love confession. That's just enough to get every neuron in this guy's head firing. He relaxes a bit and figures it wouldn't hurt to listen. Styrit jumps right in and asks if there's someone he likes. Grimm turns red and admits that, yeah, there is. But he also mentions that, being a wizard, he can't just go around flirting with anyone. Styrit finds that totally weird and tells him to just be direct with her. The scene shifts to the girl Grimm's into. She's really cute and works as a bartender. She spots that he's got a buddy with him this time and tells them to enjoy their food. Her name's Fina, and she's like the face of the place. Grimm can't help but notice she actually remembers him and even throws him a smile. But Styrit's not letting him cook. He says Grimm's a 5 on the love scale, straight up rookie numbers. Grimm knows she's just being nice for the tips. Styrit says, sure, plenty of girls would simp for a top-tier wizard, but Grimm wants someone who sees the real him. Styrit thinks that's just pain and suffering. He drops some wisdom. Grimm needs to flex his power. Love is just business, and it's all about making each other happy. That one actually hits Grimm right in the feels. Styrit keeps roasting him, saying even a basic hello would have worked, and tells him not to ghost out like he just did. Grimm thinks his exit was peak coolness, but really, it was just peak cringe. Our guy is totally fighting with his inner manly desires. Then he gets a galaxy brain idea. Styrit should go full villain mode in the diner. Grimm swoops in, saves Fina, and bags the happy ending. Styrit's not having it and tells him to just act normal for once. He also thinks Grimm's got less game than a teenager. Out of nowhere, a loud ruckus grabs their attention. Some thugs are hounding Fina for drinks, even though they've got a huge bill hanging over their heads. One wild wolf is even threatening to trash the diner. Styrit thinks the timing is chef's kiss and asks if Grimm called them in. Nope, he didn't. But our guy is totally amped up. He steps forward, and the sheer weight of his crazy strength and power is something even Styrit can't overlook. On the other side, the thug is trying to act all romantic, telling Fina that he's the reason the other bad guys are playing nice with her. That's when Grimm, with his huge muscles looking all monstrous, jumps in and yells that he's got no business talking about love. Styrit, watching from the sidelines, thinks it's super unattractive. The thug totally loses it and charges at Grimm, demanding to know what's going on. He doesn't even manage to land a hit. With one punch, Grimm sends him flying right back into his minions, who then all come rushing in together. Meanwhile, Styrit slides over to Fina to check if she's okay. She's fine, but a little worried about the diner. He reassures her that a good magician will sort it all out quickly. Then, without skipping a beat, he calls her a lovely lady, tells her it won't mess with her reputation, and starts hitting on her, saying he'll come back just to see her pretty face. Grimm drops everything and confronts Styrit immediately. He is supposed to be a wingman. Styrit tries to claim he was just giving a live demo. Not a great excuse from the perv king. Grim knows he's the one who brought him here, so he decides to cast a spell to keep him from being a pain. Steerite blinks and wonders what just happened, but then he feels something weird sprouting from his nose. Grim explains it's a spell that makes rainbow-colored nose hair grow every time he tries to hit on a girl without consent. Steerite argues that it's just an abuse of magic for personal gain, but honestly, it's a pretty clever move from Grim. Realizing why Grim isn't exactly popular, Steerite thinks he's just a sneaky jerk. They start arguing back and forth, and Fina is losing her mind. She yells at both of them to just get out. They head out. Our guy complains as he lost one of his favorite diners, but he lets out a sigh of relief because at least the bad guys won't be coming back anymore, and that's a plus. Steerite looks back, while Fina sees her coworker waving her over, all hyped up. They found a cup packed with gold coins, way more than enough to fix up the diner. Fina learns from her coworker that they discovered it right where the gloomy regular always sits. As Grim walks away, he thinks that a guy who can cook is a hit with the baddies. He figures it's about time he starts whipping something up. Then a bit later, the story jumps back to once upon a time. There's this terrible dragon that's burning down houses and wreaking havoc, causing total chaos. So, the hero and the great wizard decide it's time to take it down. But when Grim pulls a bone out of the dragon's throat, it actually calms down and even turns into this protector for the country. Now back in the present, Steerite suggests using charm magic to solve their problems. Grim looks him over and says that using magic to mess with someone's heart is just pointless. Sure, it might be the easiest way for someone like him to snag a date, but it gets Grim all riled up because Steerite just wants to actually have some fun and experience love the real way. Still, Steerite can't shake the fact that he was just about to summon a succubus, but Grim's totally against charm magic, and Steerite's curious about why. Grim breaks it down. Charm magic, like some cheesy Cupid's arrow, might seem like a shortcut, but it's really not cool. He knows that if you mess with a human heart using magic or try to go against the natural order, you'll pay a serious price. Out of nowhere, a massive dragon shows up and wrecks everything. Steerite instantly recognizes her. It's the wicked dragon named Zeru. But it turns out she's missed our guy so much that she calls him honey and leaps at him for a hug. Grim chimes in, saying this is what happens to folks who mess with charm magic. Steerite, watching all this unfold, decides not to judge our guy's taste and just goes along with it. He's also hoping to get invited to the ceremony. Our guy, however, isn't buying any of it. Zeru's out on a date, but Grim already told her that she's caught up in some spell. Once she snaps out of it, he thinks she'll totally forget about him. Zeru's confused because she doesn't feel under any spell at all. Then Steerite jumps in to stir the pot, saying Grim just doesn't get it, and that a love that crosses racial lines is way more epic. The dragon gives Steerite a thumbs up for being a solid wingman, but our guy totally loses it because he wants a human partner, no matter what. Doesn't even care if she's a succubus. He just wants someone hot with a cute face, nice figure. Steerite understands all his fantasies, even if our guy thinks it's out of reach. After hearing all this, Zeru starts changing, and in seconds becomes this stunning girl with all the right features. She's curious about what our guy thinks of her. Without missing a beat, Steerite jumps in first, shocked to find the legendary dragon looking so amazing, and introduces himself. But Zeru's not having it, and our guy just lets the hair curse grow on Steerite until he's completely wrapped up in it. Zeru asks if her true form impresses Grim. Trying to play it cool, he fires back, questioning if she really thinks this great wizard will be swayed by a little transformation magic. But he can't help blushing as he admires her efforts. So, he tells her to give him some time to think it over. Zeru is just super excited for their date, and he can't argue with that, willing to see if they're a good match. She shifts back into her dragon form, scoops him up, and takes off into the sky, leaving him screaming like crazy. Steerite watches this unfold and finds it all pretty romantic. Zeru asks what Grim wants to do and suggests a volcanic eruption could be a cool spot, but he just wants to go home. Zeru mishears him and wonders if he wants to torch a whole village instead. For Grim, though, home dates are where it's at. The moon looks stunning tonight, and she wants to enjoy it with him. During their wild and chaotic flight, our guy's face ends up looking so messed up that you wouldn't even recognize him. He decides that next time they hang out, he'll align their values better. Steerite throws out the idea of overcoming differences by being compatible. But then Grim jumps in with this example about male mantises getting eaten by the females they're into. Then Grim suddenly remembers something he forgot to mention. He excitedly admits that he's into girls who stick around at home and do housework. Zeru is totally lost and has no clue what housework even is. This leaves him pretty confused, making him question why he even does any housework himself. He starts thinking about family and what that really means, arguing with himself about whether he wants a woman for comfort or just for convenience. Steerite chimes in, saying homemade cooking is super comforting. Grim is totally on board with that. Zeru catches on to it too, and our guy asks her if she can cook. She responds confidently that she can handle anything from breakfast to dinner, but then she totally confuses them and takes off, telling them to just wait and see. An hour later, her kind of brutal cooking is finally done. Right in front of Grim and Sterit, she managed to whip up a monster of a bird. Sterit thinks cuisine here has a pretty wide definition, but honestly, it feels more like some sort of sacrificial ritual than actual food. Ziru pours out a portion for our guy and plops it right in front of him. It looks disgusting and definitely not edible. Grim, raising an eyebrow, asks what a popular guy like Sterit would do in this situation. At first, even Sterit isn't touching it and suggests he could handle it himself, as long as Grim agrees to let him put a curse on it that makes all succubus hate him. Grim's not buying it though. Finally, Sterit takes a bite, and Grim can't believe he actually did it. Sterit, ever the confident one, insists that not eating isn't an option. He strongly advises our guy to compliment her and show appreciation afterward, saying he's never tasted anything like it. But little does Sterit know, he's now on the brink of death, and our guy has to step in with some detox magic to save him. Ziru tells Grim to give the food a shot too, but he gets super angry, wondering how he's even supposed to eat something like that. But when he sees Ziru's adorable smile, he decides to go for it and takes a bite of the poisonous stuff anyway, which makes her even happier. After just one bite, he realizes it's definitely not food and that eating it would send him to the afterlife. Ziru asks him if it tastes good, but it's pure poison. Still, in front of his cute girl, he can't help but call it a unique taste. He has to admit he had a blast on their date. On the flip side, Ziru is having an amazing time with him, even though he refuses to call it a date. Then she brings up the idea of a sleepover, and for our dude, it finally feels like his moment. A little while later, Grim is chilling in the bath, feeling all kinds of happy. He tells himself to relax and not freak out, but deep down, he thinks it's kinda unfair he also has to deal with the charm magic thing at just the right time. Meanwhile, Ziru is completely knocked out. Seeing her like that totally throws him off. Sterit is at a loss for words. Grim's just acting all nonchalant, but inside, he's pretty annoyed. Sterit asks why he even bothered casting charm magic on Ziru, of all people, who's supposed to be the evil dragon. So Grim spills the beans. Back when he was part of that hero party supposed to take down monsters, everyone was freaking out at the sight before them. The mountains were literally melting. That's the real deal with the evil dragon. Some townsfolk were begging them to save their homes. One hero got mad and said there was no way they could take her on because it felt like trying to fight a volcano, and he wasn't about to risk his life over it. Another guy chimed in, suggesting that Grim and Honri should just bail. That hot gal Honri is totally freaked out but decides to go with him anyway, hoping that some kind of reason will kick in. Our guy starts thinking things through and decides to step back a bit. The evil dragon is creating total chaos everywhere. Instead of freaking out, he tries a different tactic and acts all clumsy, refusing to give up. He's even ready to be friends with the dragon, even though she's totally ignoring him. He wonders if he should just dress up like a baby dragon to get her attention. So, he pulls out some magic that's supposed to tug at the heartstrings. He casts a charm spell straight at the dragon, and love is just floating around in the air. Feeling pretty confident, our guy calls out to Ziru like she's his sweetheart. But instead of warming up, the evil dragon gets even angrier, ramping up the chaos. Then, he starts to notice the charm magic actually working a little. He sees some magical sparkles on her. But he figures it's not enough to hold back her crazy power, which is why she's flipping out. He knows it's a risky move, but he feels like he's got no other choice. So he decides to throw in another magic spell. This time, he goes for a divine spirit spell that's even stronger. Finally, things start calming down for a bit. He tells Ziru that she's stuck in this land by force, but she's not having it and is super mad. Because of that, she's overflowing with magic, and he's planning to break that magic cycle down. Ziru totally loses it. She can't believe this guy is actually pulling something like this off, but he's super confident and finally drops the whole clumsy act to show he's really a great wizard who is just pretending to be a bumbling old dude. He unleashes some serious magic to enchant Ziru, who's clueless about what's happening. His plan? To burn off her extra mana with some harmless spells and disrupt the magic circuits holding her back. It's seriously draining for him, to the point where even his nipples turn pink from the effort. He doesn't have time to pick his spells wisely, so he just decides to spam a bunch of useless ones, risking it all. In the end, he manages to clear out her excess mana by throwing every pointless spell he can think of. Once everything calms down, Ziru realizes her mana is gone and she's no longer in pain, but there's something she just can't wrap her head around. She wonders why he went through all that trouble to save her instead of just finishing her off. He admits he hated that his fellow heroes thought they were about to kick the bucket, and he really can't stand the idea of a lonely dragon like her dying all by herself. That's just something he can't deal with. The evil dragon gets all rizzed up. He tells her to find something fun to do instead of acting all crazy, and she assures him not to worry because she's already got it figured out. He thinks that's awesome. In the end, they end up sharing a good laugh together. Later on, as he's making his way back, he's feeling pretty happy. Now that he's dealt with the whole evil dragon situation, he's hoping for some lovey-dovey moments with Henri. But on the flip side, Henri is still freaked out about the idea of dragon slaying, totally convinced it's going to be a life-or-death situation. Then that other kid calls out to her, grabs her hand, and says if they make it back alive, they should totally get married. At that moment, our dude strolls into the room and casually says it's already done because he took care of the evil dragon. Both Henri and the brat look totally confused. Our dude just gives them a laid-back congrats on their marriage and bounces from the party. Stirite thinks that's a wild memory. He figures even the magical beasts are scared of the evil dragon now that she's calmed down. That's how, in that town, Zeru ended up being seen as the evil dragon. Stirite realizes that's how this story goes. Our guy reveals she only bothers him every now and then. Thinking about her, he suspects the charm magic worked on her somehow. He wonders if her feelings come from that magic, then why not just reverse it? Our guy explains that dragons have strong magic resistance, so it takes time to dispel, and he doesn't want to risk it triggering her rage again. Stirite argues that it's not cool for him to keep dating like this. He basically manipulated his way into her heart with magic, but our guy finally gets it. That's not the right way to make someone fall for him. He's determined to wrap up the story, but just then, Stirite tells him to hold up and asks if he's really sure he wants to give up her love because love is love, even if it's by accident or magic. But our guy isn't hearing it. Stirite brings it up again, wanting to know if he really wants a girlfriend, but our guy insists he doesn't need him worrying. Stirite tells him this is about his own safety, but our guy has already set his mind. He strolls into the room where Zeru is totally asleep and can't help but wonder if she's about to freak out again. He figures he can handle it if things get out of hand. After saying goodbye, he activates the spell to lift the charm magic. Just then, Zeru wakes up and grabs his hand out of nowhere. Grim jumps back in surprise. She can't believe he's trying to get all touchy without asking. He insists that's not the case, but she goes off, saying her honey's getting all frisky for no reason. He quickly explains he was just trying to lift the charm spell. She leans in closer, revealing she's not under any spell at all. But he's had enough of this back and forth. They end up squabbling, making a total mess of things. Meanwhile, Stirite is just sitting there, quietly knowing that Grim's about to have a whole lot of trouble on his hands. The next day, Stirite is up there giving a lecture, but Grim isn't paying attention at all. He's too caught up in the idea that teachers should be popular with their students. Both Stirite and Zeru are a bit puzzled by this, and Stirite calls him out for zoning out while he's talking about what makes a man attractive, starting with eyebrows. Grim jumps in, saying he just wants people to love him for who he is, which totally grosses Stirite out. That's exactly the kind of thing a guy who isn't popular would say. Meanwhile, Zeru doesn't care what Grim looks like. She'd still love him even if he was a weird bug. After sitting through Stirite's shallow talk, something finally clicks for Grim. Teachers are seen as more popular since there aren't as many of them, and people usually respect them. He starts imagining himself as a cool sensei, all mysterious, with a cute student who's super into becoming a wizard like him. After putting in a ton of effort, she starts to feel like she might just end up failing. That's when our guy imagines himself stepping in, telling her that magic really comes from the heart. She gives it a shot with his help and actually nails it. Then he pictures his adorable student saying how her heart races whenever she's near him. He thinks maybe their magic vibes are just syncing up, but she insists it's not about the magic. That's when she finally imagines confessing that she loves Grim Sensei. He's completely lost in his own daydream. Stirite and Zeru are just watching from the sidelines. Then Stirite has a lightbulb moment. This could actually work. He starts thinking that if our wizard gets some apprentices and chooses one hot girl to date, then Stirite gets to enjoy all the other girls. He starts complimenting our guy, saying he's got a sharp mind and is going to be a popular sensei. But Zeru isn't convinced, thinking that if a troublemaker shows up at school, the whole class is going to go off the rails, which sounds like a headache. Stirite just keeps encouraging our guy and pushing him to not give up. Grim Sensei drifts off into another daydream, this time about a stunning girl named Kiria-san. She's totally over listening to her rambling teacher and is kind of baffled that no one gets her vibe. The only one who really understands her is her adorable little pet. But then, out of nowhere, a huge monster jumps out, freaking her out. She's confused about why it's showing up in such a simple part of the forest. Her brave little pet tries to step up but gets taken down right away. Grim Sensei takes care of the monster in no time. He checks in on Kiria-san, but she's only worried about her pet. He reassures her that it'll be okay. The little pet shakes it off and gets back up, and Grim-sensei gives it props for being such a little hero. Kiryu-san wonders if she can become a wizard too, and he tells her she can as long as she stays on top of her classes. By the end, with Grim-sensei's help, she's got some powerful magic up her sleeve. He tells her she's come such a long way that she can use advanced spells now. She's over the moon about it, and then confesses that it's because she's totally fallen in love. He is happy that she likes magic, but she denies it and clarifies that she has actually fallen in love with Grim-sensei himself. This whole thing is just in the head of our dude. Sterit can't believe there are even lines like that in this whole mess. They both high-five each other, and now it's time for them to step up and make school love happen. Then Zeru jumps in, saying she wants to join as a student too. So it's all set. The three of them are starting a love school together. A few days later, there's a crowd of hopefuls outside, ready to take the qualification exams to become apprentices. Some girls are already chatting about how awesome he is, while others are eager, convinced they've got what it takes. But then, there are also some serious prodigies who are all about it. Zeru can't believe how many people are here and asks if Grim-sensei is planning to take them all as apprentices. There's no way that can happen. He's just going to interview them. Since Zeru is his first apprentice, she goes first, and he asks her why she even wants to apply. Her answer? It's because she's been his girlfriend. When he asks about her strengths, she just casually mentions that if he doesn't take her on, she'll literally destroy the school. Total threat mode. But really, all he wanted was to teach her how to break the charm spell. She keeps insisting that she's not under any spell though. Later, two cute girls walk in for their interview. He totally starts stuttering and asks them why they want to be his apprentices. They're just in it for the good vibes. One of them wants to get close to a wizard since it's her dream. Then they both notice Sterit and start flirting with him, asking if it's cool to fall in love at school because they've both kinda already fallen for him. Our guy gets mad and tells them to head through that door over there. Sterit asks which one he preferred. For our guy, it's neither because both have flopped. They ended up back home anyway. He put a spell on the door so anyone without magical skills who opens it gets sent straight back. Sterit wonders why some folks can use magic while others can't. But Grim, the sensei, says it's pointless to keep someone without talent around because it's just going to cause trouble. Sterit argues about what this has to do with picking a lover, but it actually makes sense. Our guy doesn't want to keep lying to someone he genuinely cares about. Sterit totally agrees when he hears that. He suggests they only interview those who can get through the door. Our guy thinks it's a smart idea. He figures he might as well take a chance. Maybe this time someone with real magical talent, who's a perfect match for Grim and also a hot girl, will come through. Later, as they're wrapping things up, they're both ready to see who made it through the door. Grim is all hyped for his epic school love story, but when he opens the door, it's not the girls he was dreaming about. Instead, it's packed with tough-looking dudes, all of them super intimidating. Every fantasy disappears in an instant. Now he's got no clue what to do. One of the kids just smirks and tells him he's finally met the awesome wizard. Before all this happened, the kid was already out there looking for the great wizard. He heard from some guy that the wizard lived in a big tower, but he had no luck tracking him down in town. That's when he got wind of another chance. Apparently, the wizard was on the lookout for apprentices. Eventually, the kid gets to meet the great wizard, who takes one look at them and thinks these folks are already amazing war wizards. He wonders if he can really teach them anything new. All they want is every shot they can get to reach the top of magic. But for our guy, it means a lot more. That's when Zeru steps up, declaring that there are 5 conditions. She makes it very clear that she is the #1 apprentice of our guy, and that she fulfills all of the conditions. Grim leans over to Sterit and asks about them, and Sterit spills the beans that these are actually the criteria Grim had for a lover. So, he states the conditions. Zeru warns that if anyone doesn't know the answer or messes up, they're out. One guy thinks one of those traits has to be magic power, but they already passed that hurdle. Then a bald dude jumps in, saying what they really need is humility, but he gets disqualified on the spot. Zeru just tells him to head home already. The bald guy storms out, fuming, and the rest of the candidates see that there's no kindness in the trials of the great wizard. They start to think about things besides raw magical power and wonder if there were any hints or clues along the way. One overly confident guy shouts out courage and honesty as his answer, but Zeru kicks him out too. The cocky dude flips out, saying he doesn't even care about being an apprentice anymore. He's just here to show he's stronger than the wizard. He vows to take down the top apprentice first and then drag our guy out. That's when the kid who was stoked to meet our main guy steps in and calls out the cocky dude for wanting to solve a simple quiz with violence, saying he's acting like a little kid having a meltdown. The cocky dude can't believe the kid wants to go down first and completely loses it, ready to teach him a lesson, but the kid's not backing down. He whips out his ultimate move and with one swift slash brings down the roof of the exam center and sends the cocky dude flying. A few of the other candidates think they've figured it out and decide the answer is just sheer strength, so they bail, realizing it's way beyond their abilities. The recruitment process has really gone downhill, and our guy is feeling so down that he doesn't even want to continue. Then the kid from earlier jumps in, saying he recognized the great wizard despite his old man disguise. But our guy just tells him that he seems strong enough already and doesn't really need to be an apprentice. The kid just smirks and points out that he hasn't even introduced himself yet. He reveals that he's Kururuku, a hero, and confidently invites our guy to join his party so they can take down the Ice Demon King together. But our guy isn't feeling it, and that leaves the kid totally puzzled. Still, the kid just grins, thinking our guy might be testing if he's a real hero or not. He also mentions that he's heard our guy hardly ever shows his face in public, and is just a gloomy recluse, which feels a bit like a jab. The kid, full of confidence, declares that he's going to prove he's a hero. To kick things off, he thinks he should tackle the 5 conditions, but Stirite jumps in, suggesting it's probably not a great idea to try guessing them. Nevertheless, the kid decides to call on his goddess of destiny for guidance. She gives him an oracle and starts laying out the conditions. The kid is totally taken aback and can't believe it. He's shocked that our guy was planning to start a school just to date. Our guy tells him not to jump to conclusions, but admits that it could have led to that outcome. The kid calls him an evil wizard right then and there, astonished that the goddess told him to invite someone like that to the party. He feels like the goddess is being careless. Still, the kid gets curious and points out that people are still suffering because of the demons. But our guy's done fighting the Demon King. He's been let down by friends too many times. The kid insists he's not like the others and vows he won't ditch his friends. So, it turns out that the guy's ex-partners were already dating each other before he even caught on. He can't believe that the great wizard with the beard is always just playing the sidekick. He yells at Kururuku not to feel sorry for him because everyone else is getting cozy. The kid chimes in, telling him not to wallow in self-pity either, since they can still take on the Ice Demon King with the wizard backing them up. But our guy thinks that's really just the goddess's gig. He tells the kid that now that he's a hero, he should totally make the most of his skills and live it up with some epic adventures. Then Stirite jumps in, saying this is one of those life-changing moments where becoming a hero would naturally attract romantic attention. And just to top it all off, he still has to go deal with the Demon King. Tough life. The kid can't believe our guy is acting like he knows it all when he clearly doesn't have a clue. He looks at Stirite and our great wizard, shaking his head at the nonsense they're spouting. Suddenly, an idea hits him. He starts to think this is some kind of trial from the goddess, testing him to see if he can tell the fake wizard from the real one. But our guy keeps insisting he's the genuine article. The kid doesn't care and is all in on proving they can take down the Demon King without any help. Our guy warns him against it. He tells the kid he's going to regret it, but Kururuku's not backing down at all. He thinks he's seen it all before, just as he's about to unleash his big move, a magic sword that's supposed to cut through all disasters. He gets hit with an Uno reverse card. Stirite and Zuru are just standing by watching. Out of nowhere, the kid transforms into some old dude. He's taken on the form of Ushio Ganzimon. Our guy casts a spell that shows everyone's true form, and it turns out the kid is actually a reincarnated hero of the goddess of destiny. Because he turned against our guy, he switched back to his original form, and now our guy has totally forgotten how to change him back. Kururuku is sweating like crazy. He's supposed to be this hero who takes down the Demon King, but right now, he feels like a whiny little brat. All his real feelings are spilling out. The way to change back is easy. He just needs to stop being such a jerk to our guy. So, he gets up to apologize, but then it hits him that it's not working. Our guy isn't buying it. So, Kururuku drops to the ground and starts to genuinely apologize. He's worried that maybe bowing like this won't mean much since our guy comes from a different background. But that's not really the problem. Kururuku still isn't being honest about how he feels about being a hero. Then our guy throws out the idea that there's no rule saying a hero has to beat the Demon King. He really wants to know what Kururuku actually wants to achieve as a hero. That's when the tears start flowing and the kid even starts shaking. Finally, he spills his ultimate dream. Then it cuts to an hourglass, showing that the moment has come. Our guy notices it too, and realizes it's time. Meanwhile, Kururuku is still stuck on what a hero is supposed to do if he's not fighting the Demon King. Our guy gets dressed up because he's just heading out on a trip. The kid also preps for his own journey. Zuru is super excited, thinking it's going to be a date again, but really he's just off to the fire ceremony. It's this big ritual where the whole kingdom gathers to channel magic into a giant crystal every 20 years. Zuru is all set to give him a ride, but our guy's not taking those two with him. He actually bought a ticket for the magic train, hoping he might meet someone cool along the way. And yeah, his imagination is running wild. He daydreams about being on the train and suddenly bursting out with some random poem to impress a cute girl who happens to love the same book. In his head, they start chatting about the poem and somehow end up talking about how the wine's aroma gets all mixed up with the train's movement. He's lost in this fantasy of sharing wine with this girl. Basically, he's overthinking everything, convinced that a romantic adventure is waiting for him on this trip. Zero is super annoyed about being left behind. Meanwhile, Steerite is all about the vibe of keeping at it until you hit the jackpot. But Grimm is already heading out and reminds them that dating other people while in a relationship is a no-go. Once he's gone, Zeru starts feeling bored, but then Steerite mentions they're actually going to that ceremony too. He asks Zeru what's gonna happen when their guy finds himself face-to-face with his dream girl. They both agree it's not looking good for him. Steerite is totally on board to help him find love on the down low. He even wonders if the girl Grimm meets on the trip might turn out to be some charming dragon, which catches Zeru's interest. She takes charge and tells Steerite to follow her. They're hopping on the magic train trip too. Plus, Steerite can get out there and charm some ladies on the side. On the other side, our guy strolls into the first-class section of the train. Kururuku is there too, and he's realizing that trains actually exist in this world. He can totally pick up on some shady folks nearby, and being a hero, he feels like he can't just ignore it. He's torn about whether he should jump in and save the day right now. Meanwhile, the scoundrels notice the hero and think this could be a real problem, but they decide their plans aren't changing. Over with Zeru and Steerite, they're stuck outside because they didn't grab tickets. With the train about to pull away, Zeru reminds him she has her own agenda. As the train leaves, she effortlessly sorts out their travel plans and just tells Steerite to tag along. The train's about to leave, and our guy scored some awesome seats, just like in his daydreams. Now he just needs to step up and find the right person to talk to. He takes a deep breath, reminding himself that he's a powerful wizard who can do anything. Then, out of nowhere, a woman asks if she can sit next to him. Without thinking twice, he says yes, but instead of some stunning chick, it's a really big woman who squishes him all the way to the edge of the seat, making him feel like he's about to pass out. He can't believe how much space she's taking up. She apologizes and explains she's pregnant, so she's packed on some extra pounds. He just goes with it, playing nice and even mentioning he's been a bit out of shape himself. That's how his big train adventure kicks off. As the train pulls away, Kururuku is also on board, keeping an eye on some shady characters who are planning to hijack the train. These guys are in for it because a strong hero is on the scene, and he's ready to take them all down. So, this cute girl strolls up to him and asks if he's a hero. Caught off guard, he wonders who she is. She mentions that she and her siblings are on the train looking for revenge. Then, as she takes off her hat, she shows off her adorable cat ears, and for the kid, this is basically a direct path to his dream. But he knows he can't go there. He tells her her parents wouldn't want her to go down that path and advises her to back off before she gets hurt. He gets all passionate, declaring that a hero lives for moments like this, and he's set on taking down the villains, no question about it. Still, she insists that since he's a hero, he should go ahead and save them. Outside the train, Steerite is riding Zeru, who's flying alongside it. They manage to get above the train, Zeru shifts into her human form, and they dive down onto the roof. Steerite struggles a bit when they land, but she comes through and saves him. Just when the train controller is about to lower the magic temperature, one of the bad guys jumps in, putting a sword to their neck and ordering them to speed the train up instead. Meanwhile, our guy is stuck, squished up against a chunky woman, feeling every jolt of the train and just having a rough time. The scoundrels take the passengers hostage, announcing that the train has been hijacked. Turns out, they're part of some god poker group or something wild like that. Grimm takes in the whole scene, and it looks like things are about to get interesting for him. Using detection magic, the chaotic scene on the train is crystal clear. Kururuku is busy trying to impress his crush, while Zeru and Steerite are somewhere on the train too. Those thugs have taken everyone hostage and are freaking out the passengers, even threatening to off them. Our guy starts working some magic, targeting a toy belonging to one of the kids. Out of nowhere, it comes to life and takes out one of the bad guys hard. A few other goons jump up to see what's happening, but then a plush duck swoops in and gives them a serious beatdown, knocking them around like crazy. The duck even calls out the thugs, asking if they've bothered to check their tickets. Still keeping up the act, it announces that this train is headed for the Love and Peace station. The kid who owns the stuffed duck approaches it. Our guy asks him if he can trust the passengers in his car to him because he is going to go take down the boss of the villains. The little kid agrees. So the duck heads further up the train, ready to turn the whole situation upside down. On the other side, Stirite just lets out a sigh. He can't believe they actually ran into some train hijackers. He whips out a bottle of perfume and sprays it right in the faces of the goons. Zeru thinks the smell is absolutely disgusting. Stirite's all about showing off in front of the passengers, but then one of the goons behind him grabs Stirite and slams him across the cabin. The goon is shocked that these guys are actually daring to mess with them. Zeru checks on Stirite, asking if he's okay. Meanwhile, the goon can't help but gawk at Zeru's looks and gets a bit too lost in the moment. He tries to charm her, calling her his girl, but she's having none of it. Furious, the goon is about to punch her, but she kicks him before he can even move. She makes it clear that her sweetheart isn't him or Stirite and is ready to unleash some serious dragon fire. Stirite is totally cheering her on from the sidelines. That goon is in serious trouble. Back in the engine room, some thugs are anxiously waiting for word from their boss. They can't believe they're being underestimated like this. The hostages ask what these guys actually want, and the goons spill that they're there to stop the lighting ceremony since there are supposed to be a bunch of important people from the kingdom on this train. But the captain breaks it to them that it's a big mistake because the kingdom already knew about their plan and moved the key figures to a different train. Hearing this, the goon decides they'll just have to kill everyone to make a point. This is when the stuffed duck jumps in and starts taking down the goons. The captain is totally shocked by what he's seeing, but our guy tells him to just stop the train at the next station so he can deal with the rest of the bad guys. The duck also lets the captain know there's a pregnant woman on board and suggests switching the guy sitting next to her so she doesn't have to be too close to some random dude. When they get to the next station, Kururuku can't help but notice the whole messy situation with the cat-eared girl. He's wondering if she's found her parents' killer. She looks like she's in a good mood, but then it comes out that she's actually tangled up with the thugs who are trying to clue her in on this weird bird. She's completely shocked when she hears this. This is when the duck jumps in. The chick gets scared the hell out on seeing it. The duck asks why the hero is hanging out with the train hijackers. The kid admires that the duck already knows who he is. Completely losing it, the chick starts framing the stuffed duck as the one who actually killed her parents. Kururuku gets confused at first, and the duck cannot believe he is actually buying it. The kid starts shaking and, while blushing, reveals that he would rather believe in a cute animal-eared chick than a talking duck. That thing actually makes our guy think the kid has got a point. The kid is all set to take down the adorable duck, but the duck just tells him to chill. Right when he's about to take a swing, he suddenly transforms back into his real self, which freaks the chick out completely. That's when Zeru shows up, asking what our guy is up to. The little chick is totally confused when she hears his name. Zeru's just enjoying the scene with our guy, who's still stuck as a duck. Meanwhile, Kururuku is begging to be changed back. Once they hit the station, Kururuku ends up stealing all the glory. Our guy gives a shout out to the owner of the stuffed duck for keeping the passengers safe in his ride. The kid recognizes the awesome wizard and promises that if the duck turns back to normal, he won't cry next time. After checking out that sweet comeback from the kid, the duck turns back into a stuffed animal. Outside, our guy tells the captain that some of the folks on board are just mooching, so they should be let off here. But the captain says their seats are already set up in another compartment. In the end, Zeru gets to have her nice train date with our guy. She asks him to pop open the wine for a toast, and he's totally on board with that. The smell of the wine is already filling the air with the train's movements, and they start to wonder if they should just go ahead and recite that cringy poem again. When they finally hit the kingdom, they find it covered in snow. Grim quickly jumps in, saying that when it comes to snowy places, it's all about skiing. So, he has a blast on a perfect white ski slope with a random, annoying kid, a dragon who seems a bit misunderstood, and a quirky rainbow fuzzball. He straight up tells them he just wants to be popular. Meanwhile, Stirite is getting all worked up because this place is full of bad guys. He asks Grim if he can actually ski, and Grim says he can, sort of. He mentions that with a little bit of magic, even the hard stuff would be easy. But Stirite leans in and whispers that he shouldn't say things like that since using magic for skiing is a big no-no here. Grim then asks the other two if they're skiing too. Zeru can't believe this is turning into a ski date. He tells them to go grab whatever they need from over there, and all three of them are super pumped. He also reminds them not to forget their lift tickets. Now that they're off, he's finally on his own. This is his chance. Meanwhile, a little way off, there's a princess named Liza hanging out with her guard Zenda. She's super cute and totally excited, but Zenda's nervous he might blow their cover while trying to keep her safe. Liza just wanted to show off a bit before her wedding. She's the 13th princess of the kingdom, and thanks to Zenda raising her, she's turned out amazing. Zenda can't help but feel proud. He sees how much she's grown, but all she can think about is skiing. On the other side, up on the lift, our guy is grinning because he knows those beginners will never catch him on the advanced course. It's about to kick off a love story so hot it could melt the snow. There's really no limit to his imagination, and he drifts off again. He pictures the princess struggling on the slope, unsure if she should have even signed up for the advanced course. That's when he steps in and asks what's wrong, only to find out she twisted her ankle. He uses a bit of magic to help her, and she surprisingly tells him it doesn't hurt anymore, so he suggests they make some fun memories on the snowy slope together. But here's the kicker. 2 girls on the lift have been eavesdropping on everything and think he's a joke. They heard him bragging about being good at skiing, then find out he's using magic, which they think is lame. They're baffled that anyone would ski with magic, saying it's as ridiculous as eating meat through your nose. Ouch. That totally hits him hard while they just ski off and live it up. He's left standing there, feeling all kinds of awful at the edge of a cliff. He tells himself he just has to be brave and get down somehow, but then he figures he doesn't need to freak out since he's a great wizard who can handle anything. He decides to slide down and look cool doing it. But the moment he starts skiing, it's obvious he's a total newbie. He struggles big time and decides to take a little breather. He glances back at where he started and realizes it's only a few feet away. He can't help but pause. He tells himself that one day he'll laugh about this, but decides today isn't that day. He just grits his teeth, thinking about his future awesome partner. Some gals roll by and tell him he's in their way, totally shocked that he's getting freaked out on the advanced course. So, he decides to just head home. Then, out of nowhere, another girl zooms down, telling him to move. Turns out she's Princess Liza, and they're about to collide. She lands right on top of him. As she gets herself together, she asks if he's okay. He quietly uses his magic to tell her to get off, and she notices he's got some serious wizard skills. This could be the moment for our shy guy and his future crush, especially when she thanks him with a blush. That gets him all fired up inside. Meanwhile, Zeru is out on the slopes, looking for her guy. Liza thinks she accidentally crashed into him and warns that standing there is a bit sketchy, but he's all chill about it, saying he's gonna ski on the edge. Just as he's about to show off, he totally flips upside down. She can't believe he signed up for the advanced course when he's clearly not good at it. He throws out some weak excuse about it being a different kind of technique, which just makes her crack up, asking what kind of excuse that even is. She points out how uncool it is to come here and not be able to ski at all. He tries to strike some random pose to look cool, but she calls him out, saying his balance just gets worse when he hesitates. He can't even wrap his head around how bad he is at skiing. She jokes about how he's just now figuring this out. As a way to make up for bumping into him, she decides to teach him how to ski. He's surprised and asks if that's really cool with her. She hits him with the hard truth that if he can't ski at least a bit, the people around here won't think much of him. That lands hard, and he's left feeling like he just lost all his cool points. He thanks her, realizing how much he needs her help. She tells him to fix his posture and not to be scared of the slope. He's pretty sure he's dealt with way scarier stuff before. She gives him a compliment and gives him a playful smack to boost his confidence, telling him to straighten up. Meanwhile, one of the guys is watching Liza from a distance, surprised that she's out here messing with her helpers for fun. They figure it's time to put their plan into action. Back on the slope, Liza tells our guy not to look at his feet and gives him a pull with her ski pole. She then asks him his name. He hesitates for a moment, and just before he's about to spill his real name, he says he's Gremlin. She bursts out laughing right away, clearly seeing through the fake name. She introduces herself as Liza. As she asks why he's out here skiing, he drops that he needed a break from studying magic. She picks up on the fact that he's really just here to meet girls. He corrects her, saying he's searching for romance. He asks if she came alone, and she says, yep, no friends with her. When she does things she enjoys, like skiing, people treat her like a troublemaker, and that makes her lose her allies. He tells her he's totally open to making friends, and she really appreciates that. She tells him that now that he's ditched the ski poles, he's actually skiing quite well. But then things go south, and he ends up tumbling right onto her again, quickly saying sorry. She just playfully reminds him that he just needs to get the hang of skiing. He's all embarrassed and flustered, and she notices right away. She reassures him not to sweat it and teases him a bit about his clumsiness. Out of nowhere, they hear a loud explosion. As she wonders what's happening, he immediately realizes it's fire magic. He can't believe the goons are actually trying to trigger an avalanche. Their plan is to set off a big enough avalanche so that a lot of the guards can't escape, and if the princess ends up dead, the kingdom will have to call off the lighting ceremony. The goons think they're safe from the avalanche since their elite fire magic can melt the snow around them, but just when they think they're in the clear, the avalanche comes crashing down and wipes them right off the slope. Liza tells our guy they should really get moving since there's a huge avalanche coming, but he confidently insists she should go ahead without him. She offers to pull him along, but he insists he's staying put. Liza tries to hype him up, thinking if he's determined enough, he can ski down this crazy slope, but he just tells her to go on her own. She hesitates for a second, but then calls him an idiot and takes off. looking back and worrying about him. She can't wrap her head around his plan to take on the avalanche alone, especially since he's not exactly the strongest. Tears start to well up in her eyes. Meanwhile, at the starting point, people start to hear some weird noises. Zenda spots the massive avalanche and feels relieved that Liza is safe. She tells him they need to figure out how to get everyone out, but he just says she should run and leave things to him. She can't believe he's suggesting they let more people take a risk. He's left speechless by that. She realizes she has to take matters into her own hands. This is when Steerite jumps in, telling everyone to chill. Everyone looks at him, totally lost. He then drops the bomb that his master, the awesome wizard Grimm, is actually here. People start whispering, unable to wrap their heads around it. Steerite insists he'll prove it. Liza is just as stunned. Steerite assures her he can easily stop an avalanche, betting everything on our guy. Meanwhile, the princess starts daydreaming about the incredible wizard Grimm, who's just hanging out on the avalanche, using his powerful magic to save the day. Zenda thinks it's amazing as their guy turns all that ice into barriers, redirecting the whole mess. She can't help but praise the results of all those years of magical studying. They also notice the troublemakers caught up in the chaos. Liza cannot stop thinking about our guy, who has just escaped with his fellows. She cannot believe Steerite actually revealed his true identity. Zero is super pumped to redo their date and suggests going ice skating next time. But our guy is totally over anything to do with ice and snow. Fortunately, thanks to him, the fire lighting ceremony goes off without a hitch, and the stone even shines bright again. The king invites him to the banquet, but our guy turns it down. The king mentions his daughter is eager to meet him, and that's when she calls out, revealing she's the 13th princess of the kingdom. She's excited to see him and tells everyone to clear out for a minute, assuring her dad it'll be quick. Once they're alone, she cozies up and cutely calls him by his fake name, Gremlin, from before. He recognizes her right away. She playfully teases him about his awkward fake beard not looking right. Then she tells him she never got to properly thank him for saving her. Trying to play it cool, he brushes it off, saying he was just doing what he does. She totally sees through his act. Then, blushing a bit, she asks if he's managed to snag a girlfriend on this trip. He snaps back that it's not as easy as it looks. She totally gets it. She offers to teach him how to ski properly next time he's around, and he thanks her for that. This is the time for our guy and a possible new waifu, and she can feel her heart starting to race. She's totally blushing and bright red, still caught up in thoughts about Grimm and about to say something when, out of nowhere, Zaru jumps in and goes straight for her honey. He told her to chill outside, but she's done waiting. For Zaru, getting closer is her way of showing love. Liza's watching this unfold, getting annoyed, and asks who this girl even is. Zaru responds that she's Grimm's girlfriend and hot waifu. He totally brushes that off, saying she's just under some spell. Then Zaru insists she's definitely not under any spell. Liza can't believe Grimm would trick girls with magic. Zaru straight up denies it, and the dude's sweating like crazy. He tells Zaru to just back him up on what Liza's saying, and Liza's super embarrassed now. They both bail, leaving Liza fuming. Then Zenda jumps in. Liza can't wrap her head around the fact that everything Grimm told her was a total lie, including his name. She could have been his future wife, and there's no way she's forgiving him for this.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.